Rimuru, the hero copycat by RimuruEdward6. All Might Pav. The peaceful stillness of the safe house was broken by a faint sound, a murmur, soft and strained, coming from Rimuru. I turned my attention to her, watching as her expression twisted, her once calm face now contorted with distress. Beads of sweat formed on her brow, her breathing shallow and erratic. "She's dreaming," Hawks said, his tone cautious as he stepped closer to the bed. But this wasn't just any dream. Rimuru's lips moved, faint words escaping in fragmented whispers. I'm afraid, what they'll think, they'll leave me, hunt me. Hawks frowned, his usual confident demeanor replaced by concern. That doesn't sound good. I stepped closer, kneeling beside her as her voice grew more strained. I can't tell them, she mumbled, her voice trembling with emotion. Even if I have to fight alone, for the rest of my life. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. The vulnerability, the fear, this wasn't the Rimuru we knew, the one who faced impossible odds with unshakable confidence. This was the real Rimuru. She's terrified, I said quietly, my heart aching at the weight of her words. She thinks she's going to lose everything if she tells us the truth. Hawks crossed his arms, his expression troubled. What could she be hiding that's got her this scared? I shook my head, my gaze fixed on her restless form. I don't know, I admitted. But whatever it is, she's convinced it'll make us turn against her. Rimuru's breathing quickened, her fists clenching the blanket as if she were fighting some unseen force. Rimuru, I said softly, reaching out to place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You're not alone. We're here for you. Her movements stilled slightly at my touch, her breathing beginning to even out. Hawks let out a slow breath, rubbing the back of his neck. She's carrying way too much for someone her age. Whatever this is, it's eating her alive. I nodded, determination settling over me. We need to show her that we're not going anywhere. That whatever she's hiding, whatever she's afraid of, we'll face it together. Hawks gave me a faint smirk, though it didn't reach his eyes. Easier said than done. Rimuru's good at building walls, and she's not the type to let people in easily. I looked down at her, her face now calm again, the nightmare seemingly subsiding. Then we'll keep trying, I said firmly. No matter how many walls she puts up, we'll break through. She doesn't have to fight alone. Hawks sighed, his smirk fading into a soft smile. You're too good at this hero thing, you know that. I allowed myself a faint chuckle. It's not about being a hero, Hawks. It's about being there for someone who needs it. As Rimuru's breathing returned to a steady rhythm, I made a silent promise. Whatever she was hiding, whatever she was afraid of, we would face it together. And she would never have to fight alone. Hawks Pav. The room was quiet again, the tension from Rimuru's nightmare still lingering like a shadow. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her as she rested, her expression calm but strained, as if even in sleep, she couldn't fully escape the weight she carried. Then, out of nowhere, her voice cut through the silence, soft but filled with a chilling determination. Father, she mumbled, barely audible but clear enough to send a shiver down my spine. I will stop you from hurting anyone else. I will end your reign once and for all. I stiffened, the words sinking in like a blade. Father. All Might, I said quietly, my tone sharper than I intended. Did you hear that? He turned to me, his eyes narrowing as he processed her words. Yes, he said, his voice low. She's fighting someone close. I pushed off the wall and took a step closer to the bed, my gaze fixed on her. Father, I muttered, the word tasting strange as I said it aloud. You don't think. All Might's expression darkened, the weight of the situation settling over him. It could mean many things, Hawks, he said cautiously. But whoever this, father, is, he's clearly the source of her fear. My feathers bristled, my instincts kicking into high gear. If Rimuru was up against someone powerful enough to leave her this shaken, someone she was willing to call father, then this wasn't just personal, it was dangerous. She's planning to take him down, I said, my voice steady despite the unease gnawing at me. Whoever he is, she's ready to end it. But if this guy's as bad as he sounds, she can't do it alone. All Might nodded, his gaze softening as he looked at her. She's carrying a burden no one should face alone, he said quietly. And we need to be there for her, no matter what. I clenched my fists, determination surging through me. If this, father, is as dangerous as I think he is, then he's got another thing coming. Rimuru's not facing him alone, not while I'm here. All Might placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder, his expression firm. We'll face this together, Hawks. Whoever he is, whatever he's done, we'll make sure Rimuru knows she doesn't have to carry this fight on her own. I nodded, glancing back at her sleeping form. Father, I muttered again, the word burning in my chest. Whoever you are, you're done hurting her. Done hurting anyone. I let out a slow breath, my resolve hardening. We'll stop you, I thought, my feathers twitching with anticipation. And this time, you won't get back up. Rimuru stirred in her sleep again, her soft murmurs breaking the quiet. At first, I couldn't make out her words, but as I stepped closer, her voice grew clearer, filled with a bitterness I hadn't heard from her before. My quirk, it's really a mirror of yours, she whispered, her tone strained, as though the thought pained her. Why couldn't I have had a simple quirk? I'd never have to become a hero version of you. I exchanged a glance with All Might, his brows furrowed in concern. Her words carried a weight we couldn't ignore. A mirror of his. I muttered, the pieces of her struggle starting to fall into place. All Might's expression darkened as he crossed his arms. She's speaking of this, father, he said quietly. Her quirk isn't just powerful, it's too similar to his. And it's clear she's fighting not just him, but the fear of becoming like him. I nodded slowly, my feathers twitching as I processed her words. So that's it, I said, my voice low. She's not just afraid of what people will think of her if they find out. She's afraid they'll see her as him. Rimuru shifted again, her face tightening as if the thought was eating away at her. I don't want to be him, she mumbled, her voice cracking. I don't want to hurt people. I just want to stop him. I clenched my fists, my heart sinking at the raw vulnerability in her voice. For all her strength, all her confidence, she was carrying a fear so deep it threatened to consume her. She's not him, I said firmly, more to myself than anyone else. She'll never be him. All Might nodded, his voice steady but soft. But she doesn't believe that, Hawks. Not yet. And until she does, she'll keep fighting this battle alone. I stepped closer to the bed, my gaze fixed on Rimuru's sleeping form. She doesn't have to, I said, my voice filled with quiet determination. We're here. Whether she wants us to be or not. All Might smiled faintly, placing a hand on my shoulder. We'll make sure she knows that. Together. I glanced back at Rimuru, her face softening slightly as if she'd found a moment of peace in her restless sleep. You're not him, Rimuru, I murmured. You're better than him. And we'll make sure you see that, no matter how long it takes. Because no matter how much she tried to carry this burden alone, we weren't letting her. All for one pav. Her voice came again, cutting through the silence of my chamber like a blade, smooth and mocking. Hey, father, she began, her tone filled with a maddening amusement. I just added a perfect touch to my mask. Want to hear it? The story of the girl who doesn't want to be like her father so much she has nightmares. Quite cute, right? I stiffened, her words striking a chord that sent irritation coursing through me. And the best part, she continued, her laughter faint but infuriating. They already believe it. Oh, they don't know who the father is yet, but they feel for the poor girl carrying so much fear and pain. It's tragic, isn't it? The perfect narrative. So tell me, father, when will you play your turn? When will you use the truth? Her confidence was infuriating, but there was no denying the brilliance of her maneuver. She had crafted a story that not only endeared her to her allies but also preemptively disarmed any revelation I might try to use against her. The girl who fears becoming her father, I murmured, my voice cold. You've made them pity you, haven't you? Turned their concern into your shield. Pity. Concern. Oh, father, she replied, her voice dripping with mockery, it's more than that. They'll protect me with everything they have. After all, what's more heroic than saving someone from their own darkness? I clenched my fists, my irritation simmering beneath a calm facade. You think you've outmaneuvered me, I said softly, my voice measured. But your mask, no matter how perfect, is still a mask. And masks have a way of slipping. Her laughter echoed faintly, fading as quickly as it came. Maybe, she admitted, her tone playful but sharp. But by the time it slips, father, the truth will be meaningless. They'll already see me as the hero, and you'll be nothing more than the villain I rose above. Her presence faded, leaving me alone with the oppressive hum of the chamber. I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. She had turned the narrative to her favor, twisting the truth into a weapon that protected her from every angle. But every weapon had its flaws. You're clever, Rimuru, I murmured, my voice low and deliberate. But even the best lies cannot escape the weight of the truth. And when the time comes, I will remind them who you truly are. Her mask was formidable, yes, but no mask was indestructible, and when it cracked, the world she had built would crumble. Her voice returned once more, calm and detached, yet carrying an edge of amusement that was both maddening and unnerving. Don't you question it, father. She began, her words laced with a quiet mockery. How many times have we done this game? How many resets it's taken for me to talk so calmly about all of my problems, or yours? The intel, the strategies, the outcomes. I've seen them all. Every move you've made, every mistake I've corrected. I froze, her words hanging in the air like a challenge. This calmness of mine, she continued, her voice soft but sharp. It comes from knowing everything, father. Every time, I get to see the story play out differently. Sometimes you come close to winning. Sometimes I crush you entirely. But it's always the same in the end, I win. And it's so much fun, don't you think? Her laughter, light and infuriating, echoed in my mind. I don't want to just beat you, father. I want to play a game with you. Again and again. A new story every time, a new set of moves, just to see how you'll react. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it fun. I clenched my fists, her detached tone sending a chill through me. She spoke with such ease, such confidence, as if she were the one writing the rules. You speak as though this game is yours to control, I said softly, my voice low and sharp. But every move you make, every path you choose, only reveals more of yourself to me. Does it? She asked, her voice light but cutting. Or am I simply giving you what I want you to see? You're a part of this game, father, but you're not the one in control. Not anymore. Her presence faded again, leaving me alone in the silence of the chamber. I leaned back, my mind racing as her words replayed in my head. She spoke of resets, of rewriting outcomes and watching me struggle, but every iteration, every twist in her narrative, also brought her closer to the truth she was trying to obscure. You want to play a game, Rimuru? I murmured, a slow smile spreading across my face. Then let's play. But remember this, every story, no matter how many times it is rewritten, has an ending. And I will make sure this one ends in my favor. She thought herself invincible, rewriting time and reshaping reality to suit her whims. But every power had its limits, and every player in the game, no matter how clever, was bound by the rules of their own making. The story was hers to rewrite for now. But the final chapter would be mine. Rimuru Pav. Luck had always played a part in my games, but this time, I could say with confidence that it was completely on my side. As I sat quietly, watching the world move according to my carefully crafted plans, a smile tugged at my lips. My first lie, I murmured to myself, and he believed it completely. The reset quirk. It was perfect. Too perfect, in fact. A non-existent quirk, born not from reality but from the boundless imagination of a child. Izuku. I leaned back, my golden eyes glinting with satisfaction as I recalled the moment he described it to me. Wide-eyed, his enthusiasm infectious as he laid out every intricate detail. He'd dreamed up a quirk so convincing, so utterly unstoppable, that it felt real just to hear him speak of it. Izuku had no idea how valuable his imagination was. You're amazing, Izuku, I whispered, a faint warmth creeping into my tone. You deserve more respect than you get. The reset quirk wasn't real, but it didn't need to be. Izuku's earnestness, his childlike belief in the story we spun together, made it believable. It wasn't the quirk itself that mattered, it was the illusion. And he had made it look real. That was all that counted. The art of a perfect lie, I said softly, my smile widening. It's not about the truth. It's about the belief. All for one had swallowed it whole, his mind now turning over a problem that didn't even exist. He thought I could reset time, thought I could undo every move he made. And that belief gave me all the space I needed to stay 10 steps ahead. Izuku, I murmured again, my voice filled with quiet admiration. You've given me a weapon more powerful than any quirk. A made-up story. A child's imagination. And a villain's overconfidence. That was all it took to tip the scales in my favor. Luck wasn't just on my side, it was mine to command. Hawks Pav. It was late, and I was winding down after another long day when my phone buzzed. Seeing Rimuru's name flash across the screen, I picked it up, half expecting her usual cryptic remarks or some witty banter. Instead, her voice came through, softer than usual, almost hesitant. Hey, Hawks, she began, a slight awkwardness in her tone. Can I crash at your place? The couch is fine, I just don't have anywhere else to stay right now. I blinked, momentarily caught off guard. What? I asked, sitting up. Rimuru, you're saying you don't have anywhere to stay. There was a pause, then she added quickly, normally, I'd just grab a room at an inn or hotel, but everything's booked up. It's no big deal if it's inconvenient, I can figure something else out. I let out a small chuckle, shaking my head. Rimuru, you saved my neck more times than I can count. If you need a place to crash, the couch is all yours. There was a brief silence, then a quiet, thanks, Hawks. I appreciate it. No problem, I said, leaning back in my chair. Just one thing, are you actually going to crash, or is this another one of your resting but not really resting situations? She chuckled faintly, though there was a tiredness to it. I'll rest, she promised. Even I know when to take a break. Good, I said firmly. Because if you don't, I'll tie you to that couch myself. You've been through enough lately. She didn't respond immediately, but when she spoke again, her voice was softer, more genuine. Thanks, Hawks. Really. Don't mention it, I said with a grin she couldn't see. Now hurry up and get over here before I change my mind. I hung up and stood, glancing around my place. It wasn't much, hero work didn't leave a lot of time for interior decorating, but it was enough. She didn't ask for help often, and when she did, it usually meant she needed it more than she let on. Guess I'll get the couch ready, I muttered to myself, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Whatever was going on, Rimuru wasn't facing it alone. Not if I had anything to say about it. I had just drifted off when a faint voice pulled me from the edge of sleep. It was Rimuru, her tone quiet and reflective, as if she were talking to herself. I normally mask these days, she began, her voice barely above a whisper, as sleepovers with different friends. Back before I was well known. I sat up slightly, careful not to make any noise. She didn't realize I could hear her, and I didn't want to interrupt. But now, she continued, her tone heavy, with all for one at my back. I don't think that's a good idea anymore. Going to them will give all for one hostages. There was a pause, and then she added with a quiet, almost resigned determination, and I will not allow that. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Rimuru wasn't just protecting herself, she was cutting herself off from the people she cared about to protect them. I leaned back against the wall, my thoughts racing. She carried so much, too much, and now she was isolating herself even further, all in the name of keeping others safe. Rimuru, I said softly, breaking the silence. She flinched, clearly startled, her golden eyes snapping to me in the dim light. Hawks, she said, her voice defensive, but I raised a hand to stop her. You don't have to explain, I said gently. I get it. You're trying to protect them. But isolating yourself like this. It's not sustainable. She looked away, her expression unreadable. It's not about me, she said quietly. It's about them. I can't let all for one use them against me. And what about you? I asked, stepping closer. You're human, Rimuru. You can't keep doing this alone. Even heroes need people they can trust. She didn't respond right away, her gaze fixed on the blanket she was clutching. I trust you, she said finally, her voice barely audible. That's why I came here. Her words caught me off guard, and for a moment, I didn't know how to respond. Well, I said eventually, my tone lighter, you've got good taste in people to trust. And for the record, you're safe here. All for one's not getting anywhere near you, or me. A faint smile tugged at her lips, though her eyes were still shadowed. Thanks, Hawks, she said softly. Anytime, I replied, settling back into the armchair. Now get some rest. We'll deal with everything else tomorrow. She nodded, her eyes closing as she curled up on the couch. I watched her for a moment longer, the weight of her words still heavy in the air. She wasn't just fighting all for one, she was fighting to keep her humanity intact, to stay connected to the people she cared about without putting them in danger. It was a battle no one should have to face alone. And I'd be damned if I let her think she had to. Rimuru's quiet words from earlier still lingered in my mind as I stared at the dim ceiling of the safe house. Her nightmare, her muttering about a father, who she was terrified of becoming like, it was all starting to piece together in a way I didn't want to believe. All for one. I murmured under my breath, the weight of the realization hitting me like a freight train. Her quirk, the way she spoke of it being a mirror of her father's, it wasn't just a metaphor. All for one, the most dangerous villain alive, the man we've been fighting in the shadows for years, could he actually be the father Rimuru was so afraid of? It made too much sense. Their quirks were eerily similar, both capable of mastery over multiple abilities. In Rimuru's fear of being hunted, of being abandoned, of her truth destroying everything she's built, it all aligned. I sat up, the pieces clicking into place with terrifying clarity. That's why she's carrying so much, I muttered. Why she's so scared to let anyone in. If people knew she was connected to All for One, even indirectly. I didn't want to think about the fallout. But more than that, it explained her relentless drive to be better, to fight harder, to protect everyone at the cost of herself. She wasn't just fighting All for One, she was fighting the shadow of him within her. A soft rustle pulled me from my thoughts. I glanced over at Rimuru, still curled up on the couch, her breathing steady but her face tense, even in sleep. All for one, I whispered again, my fists clenching. If he really was her father, then that bastard had done more damage than I'd thought possible. But it also meant something else. Rimuru wasn't just a target for All for One, she was a threat to him. A symbol of everything he wasn't, a force that could challenge him in ways no one else could. I won't let him win, I muttered, my voice firm. Not over her. Not over anyone. If Rimuru ever decided to share her truth, I'd be ready to stand by her. And if she didn't, I'd protect her anyway. Because whether she believed it or not, she wasn't facing this alone. And I'd make sure she never had to.